Hello, everyone. I am here with Kazim. Kazim, if you could introduce yourself and the company you represent, and we'll kick it off with that.
My name is Qasim, and I am CEO of NTMK Logistics. We have been into this logistics and supply chain business since last 3 years, and we have been doing the international logistics majorly, providing multiple services related to transportation, then ocean shipments, air shipments, custom clearance, and it's a kind of one window solution that we are providing at the moment to all our clients.
Got it. It's interesting to hear that you joined the industry or started the company 3 years ago, because on the previous episodes, pretty much everyone was in agreement when it comes to the recession for the freight and transportation industry in the United States, which is also your main target audience. So I'll be here interesting to encourage to hear what moved you to start a company exactly 3 years ago. But first, why don't you share a little bit about your background? I heard you've been in the supply chain management for a bit. You had some previous experience. So how did it all start for you and your career?
Right. So I would like to start with my educational background. So I did my bachelor's in business. So it was pretty much a kind of generic degree which I did in my bachelor's. So I wanted to do something specialized, specifically specialization in any specific business. So I was searching online, and then I came across supply chain back in, I guess, 2009, 8 or 9. I came across this. So I did like research on this and what's the scope. And I thought that at that point in time, not a lot of companies were focusing specifically on the supply chain side. If they wanted to increase their sales or even cut down their costs, they were looking into from the perspective of increasing the marketing budget and doing different stuff related to increasing their visibility. But if we talk about the cost cutting, not a lot of people were focusing there. But I'm sure a lot of companies have developed their department, but not a lot of focus were there. But anyways, so I I saw a future there that every business needs this supply chain, and every business has, if they're not only selling the services, everybody who's selling the product, they need the supply chain. So I opted for that, for supply chain, and I did my master's in supply chain. And then I've started working in the supply chain industry. So I worked for some of the retailers, and so specifically So I started from the reporting and analysis side in supply chain. Then I went into the warehousing side, warehousing, inventory management, and then into the procurement and logistics side. So, uh, so once I have completed all the areas and I got the experience for the whole supply chain, then I tried to explore more into the multinational organizations. So I've started working with Walmart. I think that was one of the best experience I had due to their
Really?
yeah, specifically due to their culture, and because they support their employees a lot in terms of development, and in terms of specifically your manager. They focus a lot that what you need to do in your career and how you need to adopt. And then there are different programs where you can actually choose mentors within the organization, around the world, and then you can improve yourself by talking to them and progressing in your career. So I think I found a really good mentors there at Walmart who actually shaped what I did after that. So I give a lot of credit to them, because
Wow.
yeah, and even the culture I tried to build in this NTMK Logistics, and the culture I tried to build with other companies where I have worked after that, it has a lot of inspiration from Walmart, because that is one of a very good uh, cultural culture organization, and they helped me to build networks. They help me to get the exposure around the world and then build my expertise into this specific field.
Interesting. I've read the book. Now I'm blank, drawing a blank. Sam Walton wrote a book, Made in America. I believe that's the title. I have it upstairs. It's definitely a book every entrepreneur should be reading at least once in their lifetime. There's one more by the Hilton founder that is also a great biography. And Sam Walton talked about the culture, and I guess you're just proof that he built a fantastic foundation, and his beginning weren't that easy as everyone would think for a company like this. But the culture element was brought up so many times during the book. And I remember one instance where every Saturday he would bring all the managers from all the stores, and they would spend day together. They bring the whole family with them. They would stay at his big ranch. He was always driving his pickup truck, living on a big land. So he was pretty humble guy too. And surely enough, when he passed away, and his family, I believe 3 or 4 kids plus his wife and some relatives, became top 20 richest people in the world because of the structure that he's built with, which is also interesting because he always took care of his family, he always took care of his employees, and it sounds like you had a pleasure of experiencing it. And did you do supply chain, anything related to supply chain back then at Walmart as well? Because I know that it's becoming very, very popular. I see all of our neighbors getting their shopping, essentially grocery shopping, through Walmart. They have their own trucks, they deliver on time. They're talk about it all the time now. They're promoted, just like similar to Amazon.
Yeah.
But Amazon, with their Whole Foods acquisition, I feel like something, I'm not sure why that happened, but the maybe because Whole Foods has a very specific target audience when it comes to like fresh produce, and then grocery versus Walmart is pretty much you can find everything for everyone there. So maybe that's why. But I definitely see a lot more Walmart grocery delivers around our neighborhoods rather than Amazon. So what specifically to do at Walmart again?
Right. So I'll start with the leadership there. So even right now, the CEO Doug McMillan. So he is also like I had a chance to meet him like for a minute or two back in 2016, and still, if you look at the values that they have in their company and what Sam Walton has set up, I think he's pretty much showing um, all those values and all those the cultural aspect of the organization within his personality. So yes, it was pretty good. So I was basically doing on the replenishment side. So we had a lot to do with the inventory management. So we were responsible for keeping the inventory and making sure everything is there from the origin markets to the destination market. So I was majorly looking into the US side. So, for example, if they have like 10,000 stores and they have like 5 major distribution centers, so we need to make sure that inventory is always available and it's flowing into the DCs, and we have the safety stock available all the time, and need to make sure that the orders are completed on time from the suppliers and have to coordinate with all the suppliers. So this was basically our role. So I have started from the analyst position as a replenishment analyst, and then when I left Walmart, so I was manager there for this demand planning and forecasting. So it was a lot related to this demand planning and forecasting and how you are looking. So it involves a lot of data crunching, a lot of numbers, and then you need to look into how different factors will play into the future, and then you need to have like the discussion with the different buyers and the team available there, that if they are launching a new product and if they are, for example, launching some new colors, how the demand will, how people will react to that, and what do you think, how much it will able to sell, and if we are not able to sell that much, then what will be the counter strategy. So all those strategies and working on this, and it was one of the biggest supply chain, I would say, in the world, because uh, even at that point in time, they had like 13,000 stores, approximately 13,000 stores around the world. And then you need to make sure that things are available at store all the time. So
Yeah, I can
from
only imagine.
yeah, so from China, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, multiple products, even from Turkey, you need to make sure that everything is flowing smoothly, suppliers are working accordingly. Their quantities were so massive that a small supplier cannot handle that. Like, for example, in terms of like, if you talk about back to school or BTC time frame, there were like millions and millions of towels you are procuring for just one program of, for example, bath towels. So you're procuring millions and millions, and in the end of the day, they have like 95% sell through. Yes, they were late in terms of the online sales and in terms of getting into the pace with the Amazon, but I think they have developed and they have acquired some businesses when I was there. So they were trying to build a strategy and trying to make their presence in the online industry. But I think the major sweet point for them was a combination of online and retail sales. And their biggest advantage was they have so many stores around US specifically. So if you look at the order fulfillment and the strategy around that, how they can fulfill the order, I think they have a very big advantage in that. Yeah.
What led you to starting your own company at around that time?
Right. Uh, Let me just continue that, and I'll just move towards this starting NTMK Logistics. After that, after when I left Walmart, I started a business which didn't do well. I started like a couple of them. I had it was working fine, but I think it was not according to my expectation, and I have learned a lot from them. I spent almost like 3 to 4 years in doing multiple businesses. And then when the COVID was actually starting back in 2020, so I was doing a lot of projects, but those projects shut down due to this COVID thing. And then I need to realign myself. I took like few weeks, realign myself, and then I've started working online on different platforms. And I knew a lot of these platforms exist, but I never knew that there is a lot of scope of supply chain online. So at that point in time, I hit a sweet spot because there were not a lot of people at that point in time specifically specialized in supply chain in these specific workplaces. And I think that was a sweet spot for me because I worked for multiple organizations online, managing their inventory, their procurement, and then logistics and multiple other things. Then I started working with uh, Sellerplex. So Sellerplex, basically, right now, my partner Nate Ginsberg, who's a partner with me in this NTMK logistic business, so he started the Celleplex business back in 2016-17. That business is majorly a agency based business where he was providing multiple kind of services related to supply chain, online marketing, then financial services, and some other related services. So I started working with him, and we were basically trying to build a supply chain department during that time at Celleplex. So we have worked with a lot of e-commerce businesses, small size, mid-size businesses, and they were importing a lot of products from China, and then Far East Asia and the South Asia. So we have built that department, and it took me like 2 or 3 years to successfully build the team, and we have kept increasing, and that business was going pretty normal and pretty good. It was increasing year by year, and then uh, I felt this thing that we have been using a lot of logistic providers in multiple countries, but there were a lot of miscommitments, no visibility. Then they were not providing the information on time, and then a lot of problems during the final delivery time. And whenever they have committed something, most of the time they were unable to fulfill that. I understand the dynamics of the international logistics where because there are multiple parties involved there, but still you can improve the service a lot by filling up some gaps which were there. I have pitched this idea to Nate, and we were pretty excited to vertically integrate into this sector. And we were thinking at that point in time that we might be able to target some of our clientele that we have there at Stellarplex. So we have started an initial trial run back in 2022, and we did trial run for almost like 6 months. And at that point in time, I was the only person handling the whole company. We were doing a trial run. It was trial and tests. So I did everything that was required operationally, and then whatever problems that we need to resolve during the time and making sure that the client is updated. So I asked for a favor from one of our clients to let us do a trial run on few shipments, and he had that confidence in us, and I would like to thank him because that actually started our journey towards NTMK Logistics. So yeah. And I told him that I'll not charge any profit from you. It's net to net. I'll not charge anything. I just want to experience this. Like
Mm.
we are just starting, and we are not going to charge anything. So let us do, and we'll make sure that it will be delivered on time with all the mayors, and deliver in full on time, which we call it in the supply chain terms. So we were able to successfully do that. And then finally, after looking at the numbers after 3 to 4 months, on a very low scale, I won't say that was a massive numbers, but on a very low scale, if we can do these numbers, I think there is a huge scope out there to gain the trust of different people and to fill the gaps that's there in the market in terms of as I mentioned, there are certain like miscommitments and not deliver not delivering on time, and then communication problem, and then the online tracking problem that because there were a lot of forwarders you weren't able to track anything online as well. So, and a lot of people were price conscious. They want to pay low, but they want to get all these services as well.
As always, yeah, it's in every industry. So it started with that first client who trusted you, and the rest is history. Now you focus mainly on working with e-commerce businesses still.
Yes, so we have a lot of focus and we specialize, and that is one of the value proposition that we have. So we have a lot of experience because it's built into our DNA. Because as I mentioned, we have been doing this e-commerce stuff since a long time now. So it's almost like a decade we have been working into this US e-commerce industry and working with these online platform, Amazon, or either it's Walmart or any other platform. And we understand how their warehousing work, how their distribution center or fulfillment center works, how we need to deliver, and how we need to make sure that everything is delivered in full on time, and how we need to make sure that it is transported safely from different countries around the world. So this is one of our major area, and still we have like 80%, approximately 70 to 80% of our client who are majorly based in e-commerce industry, and some of them, I would like to say, they were small when we have initially started, and now their sales have exploded in last few years, and we have actually grown together with our clients as well. Maybe Just to give you an example, not exact numbers, but maybe if they were doing 4 or 5 million 3 years ago, they might be doing right now like 40, $50 million in revenue. So you need to understand that we have built those kind of partnerships where we started small and then we have actually grown with time and with our partners.
That's the best thing you can do. I mean, if you see your partners grow, and that growth, I mean, example you mentioned from 5 to 40 million around. I mean, that's quite an impressive growth for sure for any company out there. Now, take us through your customer journey. Like, what happens? How do those businesses find you, or how do you find them? And what happens when they reach when essentially you sit down and you try to understand their business and their needs? What happens then?
Right. So right now we have been growing organically since the start, and we were receiving a lot of referrals from our clients and within our network. So what we have grown up till I would say the start of this year, we were pretty much organic. And because we had a lot of demand and a lot of people required these sort of services in logistics area, and specifically in the international logistics, and some of the dynamics in last 3 4 years. So people were in need of good sort of services. So we were pretty much doing that organically before the start of this year, and then we have started like even these multiple techniques, going into multiple like the expos, and then building some networks there, and then going into even the e-commerce expos, and then having these cold outreach, which is through emails or cold calling, and then building the team around it. And then we have now specifically hired. Previously we didn't focus a lot on growing the sales because there was a lot of organic sales that were coming in. Now we have specifically hired consultants and specifically hired the sales team who are actually working with the clients and trying to build the sales. So, and that was recommended by one of the consultant that we have hired. And if we need to, so every company have different stages. So for example, if you're under 1 million or 5 million, 10 million, over 10 million, and then you need to grow your team and grow your organization accordingly. Everything is not suited for everyone. And I think every technology is not suited for every organization as well, because at different point in time, you need to adopt to different, and some things might not be very essential for a startup or to get a very hi-fi tech software. That's what my thinking is. There might be some different opinions, but you might not need a very high tech thing in the start. But as you grow the company and as you start doing the conventional sort of freight forwarding and you start to understand the processes, and I think then you need to build into the tech side of the business. And that is the most, I think, the organic kind of thing that you can do with this business. I saw a lot of companies who tried to build tech first and then come into the forwarding industry. But I personally think that that's not the way it should be, because there are a lot of parties involved, a lot of complexities in the international logistics. So you need to understand and build your understanding and then build the tech around it.
I agree. There are different stages, and having worked with probably 40 plus e-commerce businesses by now, I can definitely confirm that the supply chain side of the business, the logistics side of the business, is the foundation no one can miss. It will break your business if you don't build a foundation from start. And most of those businesses start by handling shipping themselves, and they use simple methods until their volume is too big where you can't handle it with you yourself, your partners, and you have to start implementing some strategies. And a lot of those strategies, for example, if you use third party logistics, might eat up into your margins. So you have to forecast it and calculate that into your pricing. And as you scale and advertising, getting piece of the market becomes more and more expensive, you have to be a lot more creative with your finances, with your logistics to keep your customers happy. And then you have those giants like Amazon and Walmart, where essentially they you order a product at 8 a.m., you have it at 8 p.m. at your doorstep. How do you make a customer more happy or convince him to shop with you instead of them, where you will have to ship it when your product will arrive in a week? And I still see it a lot. Like, for example, I ordered a product from a major company doing almost $500 million in sales a year. And for the first 3-4 days, I didn't even hear whether or not the order was confirmed or they're preparing the shipment or what's happening. After, I believe, 3 days, I finally got an email that, hey, your order is being prepared for shipment, not shipped yet, not sent out yet. And it took them like 5 days to ship it out. And now I'm still waiting for the product for another 5 days. If 5 days will be the due date that actually the shipment will arrive, it could be delayed. So overall, it's an unpleasant experience for me as a customer and consumer. And also, it takes like almost 2 weeks to get a product. In 2025, I feel like I'm surprised that large companies like this with such a big volume of shipment didn't focus on optimizing that element, because I mean it leaves definitely a bad taste from my perspective. I know that companies still need you and services like yours to make sure that they pay attention to this side of the business and they optimize wherever they can. Are you also like consulting in some cases? Or let's backtrack to the customer journey. Like, what's happening when customers or clients usually come to you? Like, what's the first step?
Right. So they provide us with the details that what's out of specifically for the international logistics. So they need to tell us that what's the origin, where actually the factory is located, and what sort of volume they're trying to move. And then we need to look into like, and what's their destination, what kind of like the product they are importing, and what's the product HS code, or which is generally used for the duty structures. So once we have those details and the problem they have faced in the past, they share those experience with us, and then we try to create a tailored kind of solution for them, that how they need to work around with these sort of problems. So once generally they hear about the solution that we are providing, they test us with maybe a couple of shipments, and then everything goes well, then they try to switch volume towards us. And yes, so once they book everything, so we do have an online platform for our customers. So once
Mm.
they can do everything by themselves as well. They don't have to like manually tell us, or through email they don't have to tell us everything. They can just input everything into our platform, and they can get all their details through platform as well. So if you go to the ntmklogistics.com, so there is a portal, you can sign up for that portal, you can share the details with us, you can put in all the details regarding what problem. In the notes section, you can put in the details you're specifically looking for, and then a specific designated person from our team will get back to you and try to discuss the problem and try to resolve that, try to give you solution how we can do that. And once they're satisfied, we give them a quote through that portal. And then once they will approve that, they can see everything online, that when the product was picked up, they can do online tracking from there, when it was, what is the ETD, earliest departure time, and what's the ETA, and when it is going to be delivered. So they can have all those tracking online as well. And once the product is delivered, we'll share the delivery proof, the PODs with them. So all the documentation is kept on that platform as well. So they can have the centralized. And then regarding billing as well, so the financial module is also integrated into it. So we can bill them. They can get the email as well, but they can see all their transaction history, and what's pending, what's overdue, and when any invoice will be getting overdue. So they can see all those details in the platform itself.
Gotcha. And do you help them deliver the product from the manufacturer to the fulfillment center or warehouse, or do you also help them later on with the warehouse to directly to consumer shipments?
Right. So right now, our focus is majorly on the manufacturer to the warehouse, not on the last mile delivery. Um, so we are focusing. So let me give you an example of what different things are involved in this specific service which I'm telling you. So if we have to pick up from a factory, then for example we'll send a container to a factory will fill up that container, they'll send it to the shipping yard, then we'll make sure that everything is clear on the shipping yard, vessel is booked, the ocean services are booked, it will load onto the ocean side, we'll make sure all the documentations are completed, all the bill of lading and everything, all the documents on the back end that are completed. Once it will be loaded on the vessel, then we'll keep tracking it. Once it's near to the destination port, then we'll start for the custom filing. Once we'll receive the arrival notice from the shipping line, then we'll start working on the customs part, making sure that we file those customs clearly and according to CBP guidelines. And once this customs has been filed and the container is offloaded from the ship, then we'll make sure that the trucker is available to pick up that container and then uh, book the delivery timing with the warehouse, the customer's warehouse, and making sure it is delivered, keeping track of everything, and then making sure all the documents are available as well. So we are providing these sort of services, which includes warehousing. If somebody wants warehousing from our side, we do provide that as well. And if somebody wants the transloading, like um, somebody wants to transload and they want to send, so they have shipped it to California, but they actually want to send it to New York and they just want to transload it in California or any specific point, and then they want to ship it to New York, then we also provide those sort of services. Yes, these are our major services, and now we have started like the domestic. So we have just got the license a week ago for the domestic trucking. So we have now started working on the domestic side as well. And all of this specifically that you have been, like you have mentioned this point before, that we have been doing this during the end of the COVID. We have started this company when the environment was not that friendly, but we are still able to survive and thrive in that. And we have grown this company over last 3 years and organically grow that company, grown this company. So I think there are still a lot of opportunities there. And then when we have thought about starting this domestic service, so even right now, if you look at the domestic side and the recession and all those stocks, the domestic side is not doing very well, or the trucking side. But I've heard this from somebody that the best time to start something is when you don't need it. So I was kind of following that code, that the best time to start something when you don't need it.
Best time to start is when you don't need it.
So yes, so we have started now our trucking services, and we'll be formally launching it pretty soon. And we are right now in process of building our team around that.
Gotcha. And previously, you've mentioned that you've, outside of growing organically through referrals, word of mouth, you start going to expos and networking events. By the way, we have a major e-commerce, partly e-commerce, but larger e-commerce business event happening every single year, literally across the street from here. And it's forgot the name of it, but it will come to me. But you see big corporations from 9 figures all the way to Microsoft level and Dell and all those giant companies who are coming here. And if I remember correctly, there is a big mention of logistic transportation and things like that. So there might be even a section or part of the event where they talk specifically about that. I can send you more info here, and perhaps you'll visit this beautiful desert one day with your partner. But on top of that, you also mentioned doing some form of outreach and I'm assuming some marketing as well. Which channel has been working the best so far outside of the obviously referrals, which is the sweetest part of the business.
So I think um, we we do underrate a lot these cold outreach, and I know there is a lot of effort involved in cold outreach, because you might get one response in thousands and thousands of email, but I have seen a pretty good response and responses from the people who were actually in need. And that was, you can say, that might be a good luck for us that we have reached out to people right in time. But it was a kind of strategy from our side as well, that whenever there is uncertain time, during the uncertain time, for example, let's talk about this tariff stuff and different other related stuff, when China and US was having this tariff war, and still it's going on, but there is a break there. So whenever there's uncertainty in the market, and in specifically logistics and supply chain, so people are looking out for options. And at that point in time, if you are targeting right people at right point in time, you'll be able to get the response. So I have seen that. So I would say that the number one thing is basically networking. And sorry, I haven't explained that to you before. Basically, this NTMK Logistics. So it is basically the four values that we have, and that's why we have created this name. So N stands for networking, T is for
Oh,
transparency, and M is for market intel, and K is for kindness. So
love it.
this is basically the logic behind this name. So NTMK Logistics. So these are some of the values that we have and some of the things we are trying to focus on. So as I was explaining about the networking, and which is and we generally do that through these expos. And I think number one after the referral are these expos, and then the cold outreach. So networking, we are focusing a lot, not only within US, outside of US, in contribution into multiple other networks, where a lot of other freight forwarders gather into different conferences. So we do attend those conferences as well, building network, even if it is not directly related to a client. We are building our network on the back end as well. So network transparency, then comes the transparency. And as I have explained, that the transparency is very important, and everybody is looking for transparent response, even if some mishap
Sure.
happen within, and there are millions and millions of shipments moving around the world every hour. So a mishap can happen, but you need to be very transparent with the customer. And if they don't realize that immediately, but they do realize it after some time, and they do value that conversation, a transparent upfront conversation. Some of the people, they do that right at that point, but some of them, they are unable to understand, they do value that after some time. So transparency is the major factor. And then obviously market, and whatever is going on, what kind of trends that are happening, and which, so for example, there is a demand. Everything in logistic industry works in demand and supply as well. So if there is a lot of demand, then you'll see a lot of vessels and a lot of containers that are going on to that, um, into that port. But if there is no demand, and demand is dried up, so you might not able to see a lot of containers and a lot of vessels, and the vessels start getting rollovers, and you might get delays. So you need to work on the routing as well, that which routing to take. And so you need to have all these kind of market intel regarding the ports, which port, what's the scenario at different ports which we are using, and if we move it right now, or any instance that happened, so maybe due to the strike. So you might have heard a lot about the strikes in US on East Coast or West Coast. So what you need to do in those circumstances, and when that is going to happen, if we need to reroute our cargo. So all those things we are working on a daily basis. And then kindness is obviously it's regarding the kind to each other within the organization and then giving back to the society as well.
I love it. Yes, I've yet to come across a company that use their core values in the company name. That's a smart way to go about it. It's and those core. I agree with all those core values. I know that transparency is very important to you because I've every time I open your website or read through your LinkedIn profile or company profile, I saw transparency standing out. So I didn't know you actually included it in the name of the company, NTMK, but it makes a lot more sense now. And I think it's a smart way to go about treating company's name, and core values is something that I can hear from the conversation took away from working at Walmart and the structure they built, the company culture they built, and how they're supporting even mentorship. I had no idea about that. So thank you so much for sharing. Now, if you look back, maybe when you first started your career, what advice would you give your younger self looking back now?
Okay, that might not be related to this business specifically, but if I want to give one advice, get the financial knowledge. That
Hmm.
is one of the biggest thing I came across during my experience working in the business and with different organizations as well. You need to be very well aware of the financial knowledge, even if that is related to your personal finance or the business finance or whatever, and you need to stay on top of it. So understand finance and stay on top of it. And this is one of the, I think, the best advice I can give to somebody. I know that's a very dry subject and people just want to avoid that subject, but I think, trust me, this is one of the most beneficial thing if you'll do that to get the financial knowledge.
How does one get financial knowledge? Like, I will not make any suggestions. How does one get financial knowledge?
I would say it's this right now. You so it, nobody um, is teaching that in the colleges or universities. You need to get it by yourself. So that is a tough part, but you need to get that knowledge by yourself. And there is a lot of knowledge available online, and a lot of like even through mentors you can have that, and through influencers you can have that. But you need to understand, ask questions, how this thing will work, and you don't have to blindly follow anything, but obviously get the financial knowledge will sort out a lot of things in your personal life and in your business life as well.
I agree. We should definitely be investing some time into learning about finances and how this whole game works. And I wanted to come up with a quote I heard, but I would probably have to butcher it. There was something around it, and they didn't build cages for us. They rather developed or invented ignorance. So essentially, confusing everyone. There's so much information out there. There's so much distractions out there. There's so many different ways now with AI, even crazier. So many different ways to spend your time, and that might lead in some cases to ignorance. And then when you're ignorant, and we're all guilty. In the beginning, we pay the ignorant tax if you don't invest time into learning something. And people and others that spend time learning about it will take advantage of it, even in an indirect way, being kind to you, just to take care of their business. So
Like,
yeah, that's
the attention span is so small right now that if like you don't like something, you'll just pass that. But the thing is that if you need to focus on the things and you need to create an environment for yourself which is a learning and self learning, and then keep growing that learning. Even if I think there is something over and above financial knowledge, would be that the self learning is one of the best thing that you can have. Because if you stop growing and if you're not growing yourself, so your growth will stop, your personal growth will stop, your business growth will stop. And but you need to learn things in a way that it doesn't feel like you are learning something. So you need to surround yourself in an environment which is a learning environment, and it's not like something that I have to do it every day and by force I have to do it. So you don't have to do it by force just to create an environment, but it will take time. It might take 1, 2, 3 years to create that environment. But once you are in that environment, then a lot of things you won't find difficult to learn.
It's always a beginner's mindset. I like that advice. That's how we learn as kids and babies. We have an environment in which we are able to learn, and hopefully your parents provide a safe environment. So if you fall, you don't fall on a tile. You fall on something soft, so you don't get discouraged, and you try again and you try again. And one day you start walking, and then you take it from there. Definitely smart advice here. Kazim, thank you so much for stopping by the quiet work and sharing behind the scenes of your quiet work definition of it and how you've approached it. I sense that we might speak again soon because the company is so young and you guys are growing so fast. So I look forward to the growth that will hopefully happen now and forever, and you guys continue to scale and your scale with your clients and partners, which is incredible. Again, thank you so much. Please stay on for another minute, and yeah, I'll look forward to seeing you grow.
Thank you so much. And it was great talking to you. I hope this will be beneficial for the listener. And yeah, I would definitely like to have chat because a lot of things I have experienced from the failures and a lot of other stuff we can further discuss at some other point in time. But definitely, whenever we'll have time, we can have our next chat.
Definitely look forward to that already.